Hey, gang, thanks for hitting that download button for episode 2. On this week's episode, the party members wax poetic about sibling rivalry in the Marioverse, obsess and dissect the phenomenon of our current favorite co-op game, Overwatch, and Ken sheds a tear talking about an Egyptian woman wearing a jetpack. So grab your Sprite and Doritos, your stack of quarters, and meet us on the payload because it's time for local co-op.
Pump up the volume. Oh, feel that healing beat. Time to change it up. Time to accelerate.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back. It's episode 2 with local co-op. Thank you for dropping in some extra quarters and joining us again. I am Colin. I need healing Vignalt. With me, as always, are my two strongest party members. We have Ken. Why do I even bother Houston?
Hey.
Good to see you, pal. And of course, we have on the big mic, we have Zach. What are you doing? We're on attack. Get off Symmetra, Sharps.
What?
Welcome.
That's a great nickname.
Yes, it's very long and it's a mouthful, but you know what? I think it really embodies you as a person, as a player, as just so our listeners really have a good idea of, you know, your meta game. It's all appreciative.
I love Symmetra, though.
Yes, of course, who doesn't? And we love you, so we're very glad to have you on the mic. So today we're going to start things off with a little bit of segment that we're going to call Colin Asks a Question at Random to these two guys. They have no idea what I'm going to ask them, and for the first one, I'm going to make it pretty easy, pretty straightforward. It's going to be fun. Zach, Ken, I want you to tell me, who would win in a straight-up, no-holds-barred fist fight, Mario or Luigi, with no power-ups?
Oh, it's going to be Luigi because he's got the longer reach. Because he's a little bit taller. Except in the first Mario, they're the same size.
Good point.
So this is a little. This is tough to answer. I was also going to go Luigi, and I think I'm still going to go
I'm not
Luigi.
at all surprised that you had to take a deep breath before you started talking. Okay, here's the thing.
But it's also difficult because we have this. This has happened. We have Smash Brothers. We have 4 Smash Brothers games. You know, we've seen this fight play out.
Mm-hmm.
I think really the deciding factor for Luigi is his pent-up rage. We've seen this pent-up rage come out, you know, in various forms, and we've all seen the angry Luigi face from Mario Kart, you know, hits you with a shell as he passes by you, just the death stare. Like,
My time is coming.
there's a rage.
My time is now.
And you can see him.
Absolutely.
There's a rage deep inside Luigi, and Mario is just going through life. His name is on every game. You know, he's living it up.
Hey, Luigi's got some games.
Like a couple.
Mario is missing.
Doesn't he have one? Where
Mario is literally. It's not Luigi finds Mario. It's Mario is missing. It's still
So I
all
guess we're stuck with Luigi for
about,
this
it's
game.
still all about him.
Miyamoto
Luigi's
shrugs
Mansion.
on the cover.
Exactly. You said he's got some games, and you've
Luigi's
named
Mansion 2.
one.
Okay, so
Still rage. Still very angry.
Ken, I totally know what you're saying because that's what I was thinking. The same thing because Luigi, I think it has a complete hatred for his brother that is mostly hidden in plot wise in the games. But I would be just as angry and frustrated if I was Luigi because Mario does get all the attention, and it's the Super Mario Brothers. You know?
And he graduated college.
Yeah.
Mario did.
He has a doctorate.
Yeah.
A PhD. What's Luigi got? A vacuum.
Yeah.
That sounds so terrible.
He does. Granted, it's a vacuum that he uses to defeat ghosts with, but you know, the ghosts in the Mario world, you just look at them and they'll leave you alone.
There's also some games that Luigi didn't even appear in. Super Mario 64? Was Luigi even? Did he even make an appearance?
Nope.
No.
I don't think so.
I think.
yeah.
So, are you both saying Luigi?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So
then I'm gonna
you're
say
clearly
Mario.
defending Mario.
I guess I'm gonna have to. Mario is the ultimate. He's the king. He's the champion. He's the best. That's why. There's a reason why he's on all the games. Why he's the title character. LOL. Mario wins. That's the whole thing. Ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da-ba. That's Mario's theme from Super Mario Galaxy.
I didn't play that one, so I'll have to take your word for it.
Well, thank you guys for your input and telling me that Luigi could beat up Mario. I'm sure we've got some incensed listeners like, what? Very frustrating. So let's dive into the real thick of things here, because Local Co-op is a podcast, local cooperative, in terms of talking about video games, in which we come together and discuss things we like about games and the games that we play together and the things that we're passionate about when it comes to video games. I think it's only fair that on the first real episode of Local Co-op, we talk about the game that all of us play the most and is basically strictly cooperative. Like, I've never played against you guys in this game. I mean, we could, and maybe we should try that at some point. That could be fun.
That could be fun.
And rage-inducing.
Do like a 3v3?
Yeah, that would be... I think we would break friendships.
Maybe.
So
Probably.
maybe not. The game of the hour is Overwatch. We are just over a year out from launch of probably the... I don't know why I said probably, because it is the biggest game in the world right now.
I'd say so.
Yeah, Ken, can you, for the listeners at home who don't know about Overwatch, what is it?
For what I would imagine be the few of you who, aren't familiar with Overwatch, it's a team-based shooter, team and character-based shooter. Now, some of you may be familiar with like Team Fortress 2, similar in that vein. Different objectives, maybe capture the point, move the payload. But what makes it different from Team Fortress is that you have your, 6 or so classes from Team Fortress. You have how many characters in Overwatch at this point? 24?
Yes.
It's got to be somewhere around there.
24, I believe. And each one of them plays completely differently and brings something different to the team. And through building a team of 6 with these different characters, you try to gather the objective for your team, win games, and it's taken the video game world by storm. Like you said, it's probably the biggest game out right now, and it's been that way since it dropped a year ago.
Yeah,
and
May the
even before,
24th is
some people played a little bit of the beta, and it was building steam then. There isn't a single person that I have introduced this game to that didn't get into it, and that's rare. That's very rare.
I think where it's at now, I mean, less than a year out from the launch date, it had, in April, hit over 30 million players worldwide. And numbers like that are wholly impressive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to say that.
It's kind of crazy how big this game has gotten, and it has evolved also since its launch, between how the game functions, obviously balancing and everything like that. Like, they're really putting a lot of time and care into this game and keep pushing it, and I think the events are coming out a little more quickly now. I mean, it was a little slow. I know that in the first year there was only 3 events: Summer Games, Halloween, Christmas, Winter.
As once Halloween started, there's been an event, I feel like every 2 months.
Yeah. Because it's a surprise. Yeah, so essentially the Ken kind of pretty much explained it really well. It's a game in which, you can see your gun, you tackle objectives with your friends, your teammates, you got 5 other teammates, and it's just mayhem and chaos in the funnest possible way.
And there are people who are like, oh, it's a first-person shooter. And I have to take a step back and go, well, yes, it is.
Right.
But the characters are so varied that this isn't Call of Duty. This isn't even Halo.
No.
You will play all of the characters completely differently. You've got your healing characters who obviously they're not really offensive. Like, they're meant to support.
Oh yeah, we should note that each character are separated into classes. the offensive group, which is for the players who like to attack, do damage. The defensive, who protect their friends in that sense, protect the objectives. Tanks, which is the big meaty folks who can take a lot of damage and kind of represent. How would you describe the tanks' roles?
So the tank role has always been interesting to me in a shooter, because if you come from playing MMOs like World of Warcraft, you think of tank as the guy who faces up to the boss and takes the attention away from everybody else and allows it to do damage. Tanks in Overwatch they're really more, they still soak a lot of damage, and they want to get the attention of the opponent. And usually they're larger, so that you really have no choice but to
They're just a big target on the field.
Yes. And even amongst the different groups, you have your attack, your support, your defense. Even amongst those groups, the characters are varied in how they deal. Like if you play Soldier 76, who's kind of like, the Call of Duty character, he can run, and he's got...
When you say Call of Duty, what do you mean?
It's that style of like run and gun. His abilities are, he's got, semi-automatic rifle, he just fires, and then his mobility is running. Like it's just...
He's very meat and potatoes.
Yep. If you're used to playing, most first-person shooters, 76 will be the way to go. But then you have a character like Sombra, who's also attack, but is completely different. She's more in controlling health packs on the map, shutting down the opposition through hacking them and shutting down their abilities so that the only abilities they can use are their main fire. And of course, she doesn't do as much damage as 76, but it's because of her other abilities that she offers that she's worthwhile to choose. And then what makes all of these characters varied is the fact that they counter one another, which brings in like the strategy. If the opposing team is running Farah, who's like an airborne character, she attacks from the air. You need somebody who can take her out of the air. So you might need a character like a 76 or a McCree, who can deal with her in a long-range fashion. So that's the everlasting, like that's what makes you want to keep coming back and playing, is you just want to try all the characters, try different team compositions, and it keeps people coming back.
Yeah, because the way the game works is every time you're killed on the battlefield or you're back in your starting spawning point, you can switch to any character that you can play as long as someone else in your team isn't already playing as that person. So when you're in a match and you run into a particular enemy that's giving you a really hard time with the character that you're playing as, you're like, all right, you know what, I got to switch tactics. I got to play as somebody else to try to counter this individual. So it makes a very frenetic gameplay because the teams and the compositions are supposed to be continuously shifting and changing and evolving as the game goes on.
Yeah, I definitely think Blizzard did that they give people the ability to switch mid-match who they're playing as on purpose. They want you to. They want the game to kind of be ever evolving. Like a single match can be ever evolving. You enter a match and like, I'm getting this Genji. He's getting me every time. I need something. I'm gonna go Winston. Winston counters Genji pretty well, and then the game continues to go on from there. Is that Genji going to continue playing that character? Is he going to move off? Blizzard definitely did that on purpose, and I think it was a great design decision. I think it was also an excellent decision. Early on in the game, you could pick as many of a character as you want. You could have a team of 6 Lucios if you wanted. I don't know why you'd
It's a
want
lot
that.
of healing.
I don't know why you'd want that.
Look at that team.
Look at this team. We're going to do great. Yeah, Lucio. Really arrogant. But you could do that, and I'm glad that they took that away, and now it's it can be a little, like, I really wanted to play that character, but it's for competitive balance, it's definitely a good decision that they made, that you can only pick one of a character on a team.
Yeah. So. Zach, I kind of want to tag you in at this point. I think one of the big things that we wanted to discuss was that what is it about this game that has caused it to blow up? Why is it that, maybe not for everyone, but why is it that you have come to this game?
Now, I got it like when it first came out. I got it on PC with Ken because it was cheaper to get on PC, and I was like, I'll give it a try. I like class-based shooters. I like Team Fortress 2, so I'll give this a go. And like Ken said before, like you were able to run multiple of the same character, and it was kind of just tough. It was hard to get like a grasp on it because guys would already like stack on Genjis or snipers, and it just wouldn't be fun. And then when you guys all started playing it on PS4, I finally made the transition over and started playing with you guys. And at that point, it was on one character each, and it's fun. It definitely scratches that itch of a competitive game, a game that I can play with my friends. It's easy to get into it, and you get as much out of it as you put into it. So, like exploring other characters and different strategies and stuff like that, definitely is something that keeps me coming back.
So it's that kind of liveliness that gets you back into the excitement to play it. Okay. Ken, you out of us, I know you're a competitive player. You like to play those kinds of things, but I don't really know you for being a shooter guy. Like I don't know if you own any other shooting games. Like why Overwatch?
I mean, I've played fair share of first-person shooters in the past. Like I've owned a couple Call of Duties. I've played Counter-Strike. I'm terrible at it, but I've played. No, they're not really my go-to. With Overwatch, it's really the characters. It's the characters. It's the world. It's a Blizzard product, and if there's one thing that Blizzard does exceptionally well, it's building a world. It's giving you characters to care about.
I mean, Blizzard are the same people who are responsible for World of Warcraft,
StarCraft, Diablo.
And even for people who don't play games, you hear World of Warcraft that's like really into the cultural zeitgeist beyond gamers.
Yes.
So you have an idea of what kind of addicting world building type games and adventures that organization, that company can build for people in Overwatch now.
And like it really is the characters, and I think it's like that for a lot of people.
I agree.
One game I played for a really long time was League of Legends. League of Legends, of course, is a MOBA, and I'm not just gonna digress a little bit. MOBA, similar to Dota, Defense of the Ancients, which a lot of people are familiar with. It's been around for a while now. One of the things that League of Legends did that Dota really never had the opportunity to do was really build characters, make people come back and want to play as this large cast, these different personalities. And when I saw Overwatch in development, and then I finally got to play it back in the beta, I was just like, there's just a colorful cast of characters. There is somebody in this game that will scratch your itch and go like, I love that character. And you'll probably find multiple of those. And it's either I love that character because, I relate to them. I love that character because I like playing as them. I like their play style. Or, just I love their backstory. And I really feel like that's what's drawing people in, and that's what's drawing me in. It's the characters. I mean, we're right here in the room we're in. I recently picked up the Diva Funko Pop. She's one of my favorite characters. I love her. Farah, awesome. Lucio, fantastic. And they're all so different. Like none of them are the same, yet I love them all equally.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me just keep coming back. And then Blizzard is just really good with piling on the care. They're always adding voice lines. You got the anniversary event going on right now. They added dance emotes, which are a lot of fun. New skins, which are all fantastic. They just keep giving you more incentive to come back into the world, experience it, have fun with it. They just had the Uprising event, which was a very story-based event, which is not something that they'd done before. Big hit. People loved it. It was a lot of fun. You get the characters interacting with each other during a point in history of the story. And that's the other thing that maybe you want to talk about because you're huge on story.
True.
Overwatch has lore. It has a story.
Yeah.
But there is no campaign in Overwatch. Mm-hmm. There is no story mode. There's no single player mode. I mean, yeah, you can train, but there's no single player story. So maybe you want to talk about like the way Overwatch builds its world and tells its story, and why that also brings
Yeah,
people
sure.
in.
And a lot of this comes down with you had phrased it in a way that was like, and Zach, think about it, he said something like, it brings you back into the world. I feel a little bit differently because the way that Overwatch works and the way that the events happen and, like the special interviews that the game developers have is it never feels like I'm going. It feels like it's a living organism. The Overwatch, the game itself. What with the updates and the new events and the fact that things are constantly being created, whether it's the fan community or the game itself, it feels like if I'm not on it, I'm missing out on whatever is happening. It constantly feels like right now, like people are playing, and I'm like missing out on whatever is happening on Overwatch, which is tough to do because it's not a World of Warcraft. It's not a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, but because of how frequently the game world is further developed in a variety of ways, kind of feels like it's moving constantly. Am I right?
Mm.
Yeah. And the way you're right. The way that Overwatch dishes out story is very different from any other game. Whereas you have in most games, you have in-game cutscenes or like the one intro cinematic at the beginning, and then you dive right into whatever the game is. Overwatch does this really cool thing, and I implore anyone who hasn't seen any of these to seek them out. Is they do animated shorts, completely computer generated videos. They're usually like 10, 15 minutes, maybe 7, 10.
Yeah, they're not long.
Yeah,
Usually no more than like 12.
that's the thing. It feels like they're long because there's a lot.
There's
stuff
a lot
in
that
there.
happens. Yeah.
And they create these videos that involve a character and like focus on a character and just like not necessarily here's the video of their background. 76 was born as John Morse. It's not like that. It's like here's just them in a situation, and you just get to. It really feels like they're living, breathing characters in a game in which you don't experience their arc. You're not playing through boss battles like in growing like you would an action RPG or something. The characters aren't learning something. It just already feels like you're playing someone who's a real being. And a lot of that comes down to how you worded it, Ken, how people feel represented. Like, not just in the sense that I relate to them because they're funny like I am, or they like good music and I like music, or Diva's a gamer and I'm a gamer, but it's also the inclusion of cultural diversity. All the characters, they're not all just like the buff Gears of War type strongman guy. There's the Korean teenage girl, there's the Chinese woman, there's the Swedish dwarf man. There's so much. And even all the new characters that come out, I mean, even robots are represented. Sexuality in the game, like even though it's not at any point part of the story, like the cover character Tracer, who is like the mascot, you would say, it was revealed that she's gay. That she has a girlfriend, and the way that they did it was in a comic strip. Like the way that the game is further developed alongside the cinematics that come out every kind of at random. Focusing on different characters, they also release these digital comic books on the Blizzard website that some of them are like, hey, here's what happened when Soldier 76 met Reaper again after so many years. Or the one in which Tracer's revealed as gay was just, hey, here's our holiday special. Here's what all the characters were doing on Christmas night. And it's not even like, here's some jam full of story thing, or like here's the crazy plot twists. It was beautiful character moments. That Christmas comic, really got to me. With just like little, like it was like a splash page, and it was just a picture, no words, no dialogue, no speech balloons or whatever, just images of each character doing whatever they were doing. Like McCree's in a bar, drunk. He doesn't have a lot of people to hang out with on Christmas,
It says a lot about the characters in those little moments because, and you don't get that from the characters in the game. So having something like that, like you don't have the character interactions, and when they do happen in the game, it's very exciting. Like you were talking about who are the two characters that if they're dancing next to each other, they'll high five each other.
Junkrat and Roadhog.
Yeah, it's because they're
I did
friends.
not know that. That is awesome.
It was just something I chanced
Yeah, they
upon.
just start dancing and they turn around, they just go.
Yep,
and it's
because
awesome.
That's
Junkrat's
sweet.
dance is like the Running Man, and then
Yes.
Roadhog does like the Cabbage Patch. And so when they're mid spin, if they're next to each other, they will slap five. And that's the thing. It's those little touches that they just keep building on, like just the little things, like the characters do interact. If you got two characters on the same team, like you've got Sombra and Tracer, they don't like each other. Sombra is a villain in the story, Tracer a hero in the story, but they're both very similar. They're the agile, quick types. So there's that edge between the two of them. So like one of my favorite things is if you kill Tracer as Sombra will jokingly go, "Oh love, the cavalry's here," and I'm just like, oh man, that's that little touch so great.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It's like when the Marvel movies came out, and the characters started to kind of cross over and meet or reference each
Just
other.
a little bit.
It feels like, oh, they're talking to each other,
yeah,
which is so strange.
And as jaded as anyone could be, those little things, they're like, you know what, you got me.
It's delightful.
Yeah.
It is truly like, oh, that's great. Oh, Anna is giving sass to Farah.
Yep.
Like, and
oh yeah, those are great.
it's like the little character beats is what, like, I love character and I love story not driven by plot but by character. And the fact that Overwatch doesn't have a story mode isn't intrinsically a negative thing, isn't bad, because the characters are so lived in.
And the thing is like as the game goes on, you keep getting little more pieces of these characters. It's not like the game came out, you play the campaign, you know everything about all the characters, now you just play multiplayer and that's it. Like, it's not like that. Like, they keep adding these little things. Every time there's an update, there's new items, there's new anything. Like, little things happen and you get more, you keep seeing more of what this world is, what these characters are. And that's a very interesting way to present characters in a video game, because I don't think that's even really been done before. Because most games that are usually like this, they very shallow in terms of character and story and plot.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that these characters, when we're describing them, we're describing them so passionately, and we're getting I'm for one getting very excited talking about the characters. You can tell the pitch in my voice. They aren't badass. Like, the game isn't cool. Like, here's tough badass, like Reaper Ghost Man.
Well,
They're
see,
all
that's the
fun.
thing.
It makes fun of that archetype. And the design of the game, they look like Pixar characters because, they when they light up and they express, like, those mother effers like light up, like smiling. They're all drawn in such a, it looks like it could be, like an animated film.
Because I remember when that first, was it a trailer or animated short came out, and when they're in the museum,
That was like the original.
that was like the
trailer.
announcement,
Yep.
and it was just like, this is a Pixar movie.
Yes.
That's like the first thing I thought. I was like, I'm a sucker for Pixar movies. So when I saw that, I was like, I don't even know what this game is, but I'm in.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The art style, I think, goes a long way, because along with that, and I feel the same way about my comic books, is color. I love that it's so bright. Like, my favorite maps are like Eichenwald, and when you're outside in the bright colors, like Kings Row. I know you like Kings Row, but it's darker. I love seeing how lit up the world can be.
And even like the night stages, like there's like neon lights, and there's so much
Lijiang,
light. It feels
Lijiang
very,
Tower, the night market. Yep.
it feels very lived in, and it's not grayed out, and there's destruction everywhere. Like, it's not like that. Like, it's fresh every time.
I mean, the characters themselves, you mentioned it before, like, they kind of make fun of each other, and the characters who are supposed to be tough and cool, they have things about them that aren't, and they're vulnerable in a way that, not like, I got problems and I'm sad about stuff. It's like, come on, Reaper, no one's really scared of you. Look at you. And that's like coming from the character that's literally a gorilla in a spacesuit. Like, when I was describing the game to like my brother-in-law and like my other family members, I'd be like, oh, it's this game, it's like a shooting game, but you can play as a gorilla, or you could play as a robot, or you could play as a cowboy, or you could play as a robot ninja. Like, it's I express it that way because I want them to know that it's fun and kind of goofy, but not goofy like, look at this funny game. It's just lighthearted.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's what I really, and other people can come to it, because I would have my little brother, like 5-year-old, I would be like, yo, play this. And then I could turn to my brother who's like, 25, and I'd be like, yo, play this. It's great.
One of the things that I think is cool about the console versions, because I know this only happens on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, the intro cinematic plays whenever you boot the game up on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Now, on PC, it only plays the first time you boot the game up. You can go back and watch it, in the options menu. And that's a lot of just, the way Blizzard likes to set things up on their PC games. They want to just, like, get you into the game. That's just the way they like to do things. But why I like it is because, usually I keep my PS4 in rest mode, so I don't always see it. But I'll boot the game up, maybe I was playing another game, so the app closed. And, Winston, the monkey in a...
The aforementioned gorilla in a spacesuit.
Gorilla in a spacesuit. Winston he opens with he's trying to implore Overwatch to get back together. Because in the story, Overwatch was at one point an organization that was helping to protect the world, and they were forced to break up. Various other things happened. I'll let people dive in on their own. But Winston is trying to implore Overwatch to get back together. And it's... First off, Winston is also kind of like a de facto mascot for the series. He's the one trying to get everybody back together because there's things going wrong in the world, and he's like, the world needs us. And then it just starts to flash through all the characters and doing all of their, like, actions. Every single time I watch that, it gets me hype.
Yeah, the music.
I go
and
like,
everything.
I can't wait to boot this back up again. Like, every time I watch it, it's just like I've seen it, over a dozen times, a double dozen times, like, but every single time it gets me.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to play. It makes me want to play all of those characters, like even the ones I'm terrible at.
It's a real testament to the game that we can have logged in hundreds of hours, and I'm still so excited to play it. The same maps, like, that I've played a million times. It's not like the game has 40 maps. There's like, what, 8, 9?
Yeah.
There's not many,
Like-
and they've only 2 have been added in the game's lifespan. Eichenwald and Oasis.
I think that I started this sentence not knowing where I was going to go, but I'm just very excited and wanted to keep talking about Overwatch. You had mentioned that Winston, like that scene where he hypes up, where he's talking about, let's get Overwatch back together. The game has in its lore, which is something that I'm amazed about. There's a wonderful YouTube channel called Hammy that does Overwatch lore and analysis and speculation. And he kind of dives in, hey, today we're going to talk about Junkrat and Roadhog. And it explains, here's the comic strip, here's what we know, here's what their voice lines, what their dialogue could mean, here's what we think they were talking about. Beautiful channel. I recommend you guys check it out for sure.
I've checked. I've seen it.
It's great, right? Isn't it wonderful? And the thing is, in the fact that they don't put the story in the game, when you search for it, there's lots of light moments, but a lot of the story, and you can find a lot of articles on this, a lot of the characters are like deeply, deeply troubled and complex. And a lot of the story is really sad, but it's hidden by how beautiful and bright the game is and how fun the world is. But when you go out and seek it, and you see, like, oh, Winston's video, he wants to get the gang back together. Yeah, he's living by himself in an old abandoned base because his friends don't talk to him anymore. Like, it's his only friend is like that robot thing and Tracer when he can talk to her. Like, there's so many characters that, like, oh, this guy is great, look at how fun he is. And it's like, actually, he's, deeply, deeply rooted in psychological issue. Like, the character of Widowmaker is like, oh, I'm a French sniper. You go into her backstory. Do you know much about Widowmaker's backstory?
No, I actually don't.
Okay, so this is the story of Widowmaker. This is a character in the game. She is a defense character. She's a sniper, so she has a sniper rifle, slingshot, so she can, like, grappling hook up to high vantage points and shoot down, and basically that's the character, that the mechanics of her character, the way she plays. But the story of the game is her husband was one of the original members of Overwatch. His name was Gerard Lacroix. And Gerard is like a well-respected, well-liked member of the team. Everybody loves him. And the enemies of the game, I think it's Talon. Talon's basically like a terrorist organization, like the Nega Overwatch, the bad version of Overwatch. They kidnap Gerard's wife, Emily, a beautiful, gentle French ballerina.
I was gonna say she's a ballerina.
Yeah. They kidnap her to get at Overwatch, to get at Gerard, to mess with him. And they torture her, whatever, beat her up. So it's like, oh, it's terrible. So the team gets together, 76, they're all on this mission, like, Anna's there, let's go, let's save Gerard's wife, we'll get her back. And they do. They get her back, all is well. And then when they get back home, great, beautiful, touching reunion, they go to bed. In the middle of the night, Emily wakes up and kills her husband because she was tortured and brainwashed by the villains. That's why her skin slowly turns blue, because of the experiments on her. So she becomes like completely enraged and turns on Overwatch because of like the realigning. It's kind of like Winter Soldier-esque in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she goes through all of this like torturous like life and kills the person that she loves. And so as the game goes on, you think, oh, that's just who she is. She's now just like a killer person. But in the Christmas comic, the holiday event, when it shows what everyone is doing, I'm going to cry, explain this. It shows her in the rain at her husband's gravesite. So it's like, holy cow, she knows what she did and she regrets it, but she's still dealing with the scrambling of her mind by the villains, and she still works with them. So what kind of like psyche must she have to be like taught to kill a person and feel terrible about it, and still is working with the villains who made her do it? Amazing. And I think that's so horrifyingly tragic, but in a game that's filled by a monkey that eats peanut butter as a taunt and like gets mad if you break his glasses. It's like it's so crazy that the level of each of those characters is so beautiful and so fun. It's like if you look at the Monsters Inc. Sully, and it's like, oh, look how cute he is, but his backstory is he's murdered his parents or something. It's just like so. It's such a dichotomy there. It's so
Mature.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's not mature in a way that it doesn't affect the game at large. So it's not like problematic for people. Like if you're younger and playing a game. I just think there's something in the way that they tell those stories, like the comics and the games. Like each of those characters are so amazing. It's why the community, like the fan community of Overwatch, is amazing. Because I like on social media I follow like all the different Overwatch meme pages, and like this one's dedicated just to diva jokes. This one, because all these characters, like so many people have grown attached to them for, like Ken said, so many other reasons, one or another. Like there's so much that people put into these characters and getting shipping. And like I don't care about shipping. That's fun. I do it too. Mercy 76. That's what I'm feeling. And beyond that, like there's so many different things you can pull out of it, and it's just I think it's the characters that really go a long way. I talked for a long time. Please give me a breath. You guys go.
Well, I mean, that's what it always comes back to for me. The characters. I feel like character in just pop culture right now is really high. TV is really big right now. Shows like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, I really feel like one of the big reasons people really love that show is the cast of characters.
Yeah.
There's something for everybody. There's the dwarf, who is hated by his family yet is still trying to, make the best decisions he possibly can. And then you've got like, the malicious sister who, is willing to do anything to gain power. People love all of that. And you carry that over into other forms of media, and Overwatch is hitting it perfectly. They're hitting it out of the park. I talked before about like the diversity of the cast. I feel like I have to mention there's more female characters in this game than there are male.
Rarity.
That is not the norm.
Unless
That
you're
is
playing Skullgirls or something.
Huh, I never realized
yeah.
that.
Yep. That's not the norm. And that's fantastic. I mean, I'm not one to like pick a character because like, oh yeah, I gotta play the dude. Like I've never been that way. But it occurred to me, I was like, oh, all my favorite characters in this game, they're all female. That's really cool. And I remember a couple months back, I was reading an article. I believe it was on Destructoid, and they were kind of doing their end of year, best characters of like 2016, and all the editors and writers they chose a character, and there were more than a few Overwatch characters on that list for good reason, as we've talked about. But the one that really got me was somebody chose Farah. Now, Farah is an Egyptian woman.
With a jetpack.
She has a jetpack
And a rocket launcher.
She looks like a Falcon Iron Man kind of looking
She
thing.
has been one of my favorites since the game dropped. Like, first time I played the game, I picked Farah. I was like, I want to play her. In the game, her mother is also a character, Anna, who was a former member of Overwatch. And the person chose Farah as like their character of 2016, their best character of 2016, not necessarily because of
That shocks me.
not necessarily because of Farah, but because they explained that they visited the Blizzard studios, and kind of the Overwatch team has placed there's a wall of letters from fans about various different things. Thank you letters, appreciative letters for the game. And the editor who chose Farah, he noticed a letter from an Egyptian girl who was thanking Blizzard for creating a character like Farah. And I know I'm like tearing up because it's like that matters a lot. And it's taken too long to reach the point where that kind of diversity and that kind of representation is the norm. And
We kind of take it for granted that we are the main characters in every game. We're three straight white guys right
yes, when I stepped up to Street Fighter 2, there's a guy named Ken. I've been represented from day one, an American named Ken. It's been there. It hasn't been there for everybody.
now. Zach's birth name is Mega Man. So
Yeah, it was
he's
really
been
cool.
well represented too.
A lot of games too. Very well represented.
And I thought that was fantastic. And I thought, that's what this game is doing well, and that's why. And it's never heavy-handed, because sometimes it is. Sometimes we see a little bit like, I see what you're trying to do, but you're okay. It's not that way in Overwatch. It just feels right.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel forced, because sometimes like, and it happens in comics where it's like they change characters to be a certain way, and I feel like they do it on purpose just to get the recognition for it. Like, I don't know, like when Iceman came out, like it kind of just like it feels like they do it just to do it, just to get the attention. I feel like Overwatch doesn't do that. I feel like Overwatch, it just worked naturally, and it's like when I play the game, I'm not like, oh, we have all these characters from different backgrounds, women, men. It's kind of just their characters. They're there, and do you think that because it's so natural and that it didn't feel like it wasn't a attention grabber, why it's being so internationally like popular, and how has that staying power now?
I think because of the large roster, that like everyone is represented, so it doesn't seem like a problem. Because it's weird, and I don't think it's like the Iceman thing, because it's different between making somebody
Like changing somebody for the sake of change,
Yeah,
or just creating
like-
a character.
exactly, and something like, oh, Iceman is gay is believable because that's how people as they grow up, like, oh, I'm gay and I've been struggling with this. So I think what what changes with how that's like different in Overwatch is since there's so many people to select and from different backgrounds and ethnicities, like since everyone is represented and everyone plays, you pick kind of depending on the role that you can play. For some reason, I don't think it's an issue. But that's stupid because clearly it is. Like when Tracer was revealed as gay, there was a lot of people who were upset.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it's going to happen because
Unfortunately, that's the world we're in.
There's there's people who just they have their beliefs, and yeah, there were people who were upset, and that was disappointing, because it it shouldn't change your opinion of the character. It shouldn't change your enjoyment of the game. It shouldn't.
Yeah, has
You
no
know,
bearing,
it's
has
just-
no effect, and who cares?
That's Tracer.
And you have to
And
go
it's-
out of your way
cheers,
to
love.
get it too.
And
Like
here-
it's not
the
a
thing
part
is,
of the game.
there's not a single reference to it in the actual game, to my knowledge. There might be a spray,
I don't know.
but I don't think there is. It was something that occurred in a comic strip that you could have read or not read, depending on how interested you were. But yeah, it struck a chord with people, both positive and negative. I think it was overwhelmingly positive, though. And it was a big deal
I think
for
it was, and because that's the mascot character, and it's not like a game in which like it relies on, hey, the lead protagonist is gay. Like sometimes that can be like a selling point, but with Tracer, just like it didn't matter at all. Oh, also our mascot character is gay.
And-
Great, cool, sweet. I'm gonna play as her again because her abilities are freaking sweet.
And it's not like they released the game and was like, yeah, the character on the cover, she's gay. It was months after the game came out. The game's already incredibly
Christmas
popular.
because that kind of
and they
thing-
started going into the lore of it, and it's
Yeah.
just like it was the Christmas panel. It's just there.
Yeah.
And you're like, take it as you will.
And it's not like it's weird because it happens in a way in Blizzard the way they tell their story, like in revealing that she was gay. And I'm sure there's other gay characters that Blizzard has even said probably more. Who cares? You know, McCree might be bisexual. Sweet man, go for it. Fan that hammer. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, what?
I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But the way that they did it is like, it's not like Blizzard put out a statement like in an active.
It wasn't a
progression.
press
It wasn't an
release.
active.
Yeah,
one,
it was just like, oh, Tracer's gay. It's not like a big, let's tweet this out, have the news cover it, and that's how it should be. Like, someone's gay. It's not. It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be an issue.
And
It
you-
shouldn't be
and-
a thing.
Zach touched upon, how in comics, that's the way it's been done. It's like it's done in a press release. Oh, hey, we're doing with this character.
Girl Thor.
And it's like, why don't you just
Release the
have
comic
us
book. Just do it,
read
yeah.
the book?
Yeah.
And if it happens, it happens. Like,
I mean, it's weird because I guess like it matters a lot to a lot of people, so it's good to know if they didn't. It's a weird double-edged sword, and we're going down a strange rabbit hole.
and it's our opinion,
Yeah.
and people will disagree with that, and that's okay.
Yeah. The main point is the diversity in Overwatch is something that I think all of us love deeply about the game. I love that everyone is so different. I love that everyone plays different. I love that some characters can run, some can jump twice, some can climb walls. I think that's amazing. What I think would be nice to talk about is like, other than the characters in the game, because we could do like 20 episodes. Like we could just do like, this is the Genji episode, and we could just talk about Genji. Like, what is it about in terms of local co-op? Like, what do you guys love playing about Overwatch? Because for me, the thing that is the best about it is all my friends. I get to hang out with my friends all the time, which is hard to do. We're adults, we have full-time jobs, but like, if I can boot that thing up, somebody's on, put my headset on. Our best friend Noah moved away, to the other side of the country. I get to hang out with him every night and play Overwatch. Like, that is great. And that's something that Overwatch has given me. Like, before, I don't know if you guys knew this, but like, kind of before we really started to play, like, I considered that I had two premier groups of friends. I had you guys, who I would label like my wrestling
The
sports,
175.
sports friends, the 175 guys, and then I would have my D&D friends. I have Joe and JR and Alex and stuff. But since Overwatch has came out, those two kind of groups have kind of melded, and I think that's great. Like now, all my friends are all friends with each other. Like you guys all knew each other, but now, like I think that game has brought you guys more friends. Am I wrong?
Oh, I mean, Jeremy, him and I have definitely like we knew each other, but it's definitely become like a much like better friendship. Like I consider him one of my best friends now.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten to know Alex, consider him one of my good friends now. And first episode, we talked about what does local co-op mean, and I talked about that feeling you get when you're playing a game with your friends, and this what it's really fun is when there's 4, 5, 6 of us on at a time, it is that sure we lose a fair deal.
Usually the last one.
But even
In my defense, no, go ahead.
but even in those losses, there's those fun times, and of course in the victories, it's great. Like when we crush a team, when when we don't even let them take the first point on Numbani, and we're just like
Ripping dicks.
feeling ourselves, and it's
Is that what that noise is?
what?
Never mind. The grimace.
So,
That was Ken. I'm getting wrecked by this.
but it's
Kenji
like
face.
it almost, and like when you see one of us get the play of the game, and we're like, oh, like you almost want to do something cool, so to get the reaction from your group of
Your
friends.
friends, yeah.
Yeah, like or when somebody sees something like, oh, I just saw that. That's play of the game. Like
It's great to play a game cooperatively, like playing a game online. When you play something like the other shooters, it's a lot of violence and anger. But with Overwatch, because the game modes are like move this car from this end of the street to the other end while defending the point, stuff like that. Like you really do have to work together. Like characters' special abilities. Each character in the game has what's called an ultimate, which is basically like a superpower that can, depending on what kind of character they play as, can kill a lot of people at once, can trap a lot of people at once,
can heal a lot of people.
heal
at
a
once.
lot of people at once. Yeah, so the game itself requires you to talk to your friends as a team. It's great for team building. It's almost like you should get it for your business. And like, all right, guys, team meeting. We're going to play Overwatch and work on our coordination. Your communication is huge. So, like, when one of us is a healer and I'm getting attacked and Zach comes in and defends me, like, there's something so incredibly fun about that because we're playing another group of friends. And I think, like, I love that. And the fact that the game, like, constantly, it doesn't, I mean, it rewards you all the time, but with things like play of the game, which is at the end of every match, it does like this cool little video that says, here's what we would consider, for whatever reason, the coolest part of the game was.
The highlight.
The highlight. And it says like, oh, it was Ken playing as Zarya. And it shows, and it'll say Ken's gamer tag, Sombre Blanco as Zarya.
And there's the highlight intros.
Yeah,
I
and then
love
it
those.
shows Ken, whatever Ken did, and we can see us all playing, and everyone's like, Ken, that was sweet. Look how amazing you are.
But did you win?
But did you win?
And then,
But did you win?
no, but that's also a good point. Is you can lose and get play of the game.
Yeah. But where I was going with that is like it also at the end of every match, like it gives you, gold, silver, bronze medals depending on how much damage. Like you can see, oh, on our team I got the most amount of eliminations, and everyone on the team it puts up an assortment of people who played really well that match, and everybody can vote on who you think the MVP was. It doesn't do anything, but it just encourages like even
Camaraderie
even
and
the
teamwork
menus,
and-
like you're playing the game. And even if you don't get play of the game, you can go back to the main menu and watch your own highlights. It'll tell you, hey man, I know you didn't get play of the game, but here's the best thing you did that match, and you can watch yourself play really well. And it's just such a, like I said it before, it's like a living, breathing thing that I never get bored of. And the fact that there's characters coming out, you can get new costumes, what they're called skins. And some of the skins aren't just like, now his shirt is white. It's like, now he's a robot. It's like it's wild and
like-
fun.
Like Diva's new skin, the cruiser one, all her voice lines completely change.
Is she like a greaser chick?
Yeah,
I
Like,
love that.
instead of hello, she goes like, "Hey, Daddy-o."
Oh,
and like
that's so rad.
Yeah, like all her voice lines are like completely
They should
different.
make like Junkrat like have a leather jacket and slick back his hair. That would be BA.
I mean, and some of them are some of them are just so awesome. Like especially during the anniversary event. Like I remember we hadn't played in a while. It had been a couple weeks. Like we were all busy and playing other games. And then the anniversary event rolled around, and so we were like, okay, let's meet up. And I booted it up, and like I just I was throughout the day at work. I was like checking out the new skins, and so when I got home, I was just like it was me and Jeremy. Like I invited him to a match, and we started playing. I'm just like, dude, I'm jazzed for this. Like I want to see all this new stuff. I want to get the new skins. I want to get the new dance emotes. I love those.
Emotes are basically in-game taunts
Yep.
that you can do.
Yep. And then, and every character before, they would be just little things.
Like load your gun
Quick
or
maybe
flex or
maybe
something.
Zarya has one where she laughs. Like she's shrugs her shoulders and then laughs whatever's in front of her and goes like, I don't know, this crazy guy. And so the dance emotes are very excellently animated. Love them. Like tracers, sombras. I love just watching those.
Yeah.
And so they're a lot of fun. Now everybody has gone from shooting up the spawn room to dancing in the spawn room, which is fantastic.
I think that's an upgrade.
Definitely an upgrade.
Covering each other's spray paints.
Yeah. But yeah, it's so much fun to just sit down, play, and like you were saying, you don't get bored because obviously you always have your favorites, but there's so many characters. Just I want to try this character.
Yeah.
I want to try this character in this situation, or this is what my team needs, so we're gonna play and it's the little things too. There'll be times. So Zarya is a tank character, and one of her abilities is she can put a protective bubble around herself that absorbs damage, and whatever damage she absorbs, she turns into extra damage
Strength
she
and
deals.
power.
She can also put that bubble around a teammate, and it could save a teammate's life in certain situations. Roadhog is a character that literally has a hook. It'll grab and pull, and most characters get hooked, they're probably going to die, because one shot, close range as Roadhog, takes out most of the cast. So, as Zarya, what I like to do is I like to look, if I see a teammate get hooked, I'll bubble that person, save the person's life.
Yeah.
Probably not going to show up as play the game, probably not going to, but I know,
You help, and they know.
I
Yeah.
say, this is how we win, playing as a team.
I got a question for both of you because we've known each other for a while. Zach and I would go back to middle school, high school. We, despite the fact that we've been gamers, there's no games that we would play online together. None. Can you think of any, save Smash Brothers, that we would only play indoors together?
Yeah, Smash Brothers was big for us for a while, but we would just all get together at a house, 8 of us or
Yeah.
whatever, and just
And
do mini
some
tournaments
couch
or
co-op.
something like
Yeah.
that.
It's-
With you guys specifically, I don't think I've
there's
played
none.
anything online with
And
you
there's
guys,
been
which is
plenty
weird.
of
I think we
games.
played maybe Destiny a little bit, but definitely nothing like a Call of Duty or competitive shooters. It was just not games that we would play.
And
I mean, I've had games with other friends, like sports games, like NHL for a while. Had you'd play an individual player, and you're all playing one player on that team, so you're pretty much playing like
Ooh,
a
I
legit
think that's
hockey
pretty
game,
cool.
which is really fun. So we're doing that for a while, but other than that, I can't really think of anything I've done with you guys online.
And I think an important note is you both got it on the PC, so you both bought it twice,
Yep.
Yes, it did.
which is awesome.
May have spent money on loot boxes too.
Because I know
Same here.
May have.
Same here. And I know specifically for you because I would hound you while we were at work, and I would tell you, Ken, I know you have Overwatch. I know you don't play it a lot anymore, but I'm telling you, you have to get it. Is there any? Can you kind of touch on how I sold it to you and whether or not I was selling it to you correctly in terms of the enjoyment of constantly having somebody to play with?
That's
The
really
difference there.
Your main selling point was having people to play. So I bought Overwatch on PC as soon as it came out. I actually did play a little bit of it in its beta. So when it first came out, I played it on PC. I've played, like I said, I have a history of League of Legends, World of Warcraft.
Right.
I do have kind of a small circle of friends that I've played those online games with on PC for quite a while. And I was playing a little bit of that. I was playing Overwatch a little bit with that group, but they weren't entirely sold on it like I was. They were also playing like other games at the time, so I didn't always have somebody to play with. I also, when the game first dropped, I didn't really like the competitive mode. There were some things that needed tweaking, so I was like, I'll play some other games. I had also just bought my PS4,
Right.
so little time went on, and it was you and Jeremy who were basically like,
Jeremy from Opinions May Vary fame.
who were basically like, you need to get it. Well, I've played it. I like it. I have it on PC. Yeah, but there's like 800 of us who play it.
Seriously. There's been nights
like,
where too many of us are on.
Yeah, and we have
can't
to,
all play together
Yeah.
because it's teams of 6.
And yeah, the main selling point was you're going to have people to play with. And the game incentivizes playing with people. You get an experience boost when you play with
Groups up with teammates.
Yeah. So like the game wants you to play with friends. The game wants you to gather with people and have a good time. The game wants you to meet people. One addition they added was the ability to stay as a team when you're playing. And you don't. I've used it in the past.
You mean when you're grouped up with strangers?
Yeah, like there's definitely been afternoons where I've been playing, on my own, getting some matches in, and especially in competitive mode, if I feel like I've got good communication with a team, if other people are on their mics, I've definitely chose to stay as a team, and then we might rattle off a couple wins, and then we break up. But there's people on my friends list who that's how they ended up on my friends list was through that option that Blizzard allowed me because it is better to play with people.
Yeah.
It's just more fun.
And that's the only way I play the game. Like, I don't play it on my own. And even when we had it on PC, because you told me to get it right away on PC. And I know we played it yeah, I know. So so we played it together for a little bit, but I just couldn't get into it at all. And then when you guys all started talking about it a lot more, I mean, there were events going on. That's all you guys were talking about. And you guys both pitched me on start playing it on PS4. And since then, I love it. Like, it's all about playing with your friends, and that's definitely the best part of that game.
Yeah.
The game could do anything else, but it really, like you said, it wants you to play with your friends and having those combinations.
Love the way you worded that. That was straight fire.
Was it?
Yeah, that's very nice. Beautiful. Beautifully said. And the thing about Overwatch is there is constantly reasons to, if you, for whatever reason you do fall out of it, if you've got another game to play, they'll bring you back with, we keep mentioning events. And what we mean by that is around Halloween, for example, the whole game became Halloween scary themed. So there was characters, you could get new costumes that were basically, spooky versions of the characters. And you'd get new game modes that's fighting a horde of, there's a character called Junkrat, and he was Junkenstein, and he created monsters that you would fight as a team, and that's only for that season. And as you get the Christmas season, or the holiday, I should say, and there's all the holiday themed events, and they change the way the maps look. So there's snow falling, and there's a Christmas tree and a menorah in the window and things like that. It's constantly, it's never finished.
And it's always exciting when you're like, oh, there's an event coming up, and there's rumors there's an event in 4 weeks. What's it going to be about? Or what game modes? Are there going to be new skins? What's? I mean, between Uprising and now with the anniversary, that's a lot of content within a month and a half.
I'm a real sucker for skins.
Oh yeah, me too. And I think this is probably the best batch of skins they've put out, I think, since the game came out.
What's really fun and sounds like it's not a great thing, but every time there's an event, not everybody gets a skin, which is good because it's not overwhelming. And it's exciting when the character that you oh, my main is finally getting a new skin and it's sweet.
This, I'll be honest, this is probably the first event I feel overwhelmed.
For sure.
There's a lot
all the
that I
emotes
want
and
and everything. Even some of the stuff that for the I don't really play Tracer, but that is an awesome. The graffiti Tracer skin.
Tracer
She's
skin,
dressed she's got a hood and her guns are turned into spray cans. And I'm just that's awesome.
She has a mask, a gas mask kind of thing on.
Yep. I'm it's an awesome interpretation of the character. And I know apparently there's a big hullabaloo about Lucio's skin. A lot of people think it's ugly. Apparently,
a lot of people have complained about it's so strange.
And I'm I love the new Lucio skin. I think it's awesome. I love the fact that the music changes. It's like got that jazz piano.
It's
in
those
it.
weird little touches, you know?
And then, oh man, yeah, it was one of the first skins I got, and I was like, yes, like that was definitely one of the ones. I mean, I use Lucio a lot, so I definitely wanted it. But I was like, and then when I actually played it, I was like, ooh, ooh.
And the way that the skins work is like I touched on it before. Like they're very, some of the changes are like very dramatic. Sometimes they're like, oh, this is the young version of them. But like the character Zenyatta, he's a robot monk who is like a Buddhist.
He's like a
prayer
Buddhist
guy.
robot.
He fights with prayer beads. It's like very interesting, very cool. And all his skins, you'd think you'd be limited there, but you're not, because the Blizzard is willing to be like, okay, here's the holiday theme. He's gonna be a nutcracker and he's gonna throw nuts, and that's the skin. Like that's amazing. It's so interesting that they go in that direction and make things as drastic and wild. Like Reaper for Halloween is like a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, and he's got like wax melting candles on his shotguns, and it's like this is the funnest thing.
And the thing is, with these new batches of skins, like Ken touched on with like Diva and Lucio, like the music changing or the voice changing, it's like that hasn't been done really before, has it?
Here and
Other
there.
characters.
Like which Mercy is probably the most popular. When she reses, she, instead of saying, heroes never die, she goes, heroes never die for a price.
No, that's the demon one.
Oh, is that the demon
For the
one?
witch one, she
You're right.
says like, what did she say? Like, my servants rise, something like
Yes,
that.
yeah.
Something
But
along
it's
those
just like
lines.
one line, as opposed, like you said, Diva, like she
Oh yeah,
talks differently.
yeah. I
now.
didn't realize it was as many as it was until I watched this YouTube video last night, and I was like, oh, wow, like the entire.
Because they're very subtle when they make the little changes.
make those
like
changes,
that.
and you don't catch them right away. But
Mm-hmm.
what I'm trying to get to is like now that they've done that, now it's like, what's going to happen next time now? Like, are
Just
they going to
keep
do?
getting bigger changes?
Are there going to be bigger changes? Like, how far are they going to go? Like,
Mm.
it's like it's not just color changes; they're completely changing the characters, and it's making it interesting and fresh
Yeah.
over and over again.
The game director Jeff Kaplan frequently does questionnaires, Q&As, and discusses like, hey, here's what's happening in Overwatch. And the way that Blizzard works is they're very, very responsive to their audience in the sense that like, hey, in the character Sombra in her cutscene video, in her introduction, like that, the animated short that we were discussing, she has a funny line where she taps a character on the nose and she goes boop, just as a little joke, but it wasn't in the game proper. And everyone, all the fans were like, that's great. Can you add that to the game? And they did. So now she says that, and they're constantly doing.
She has the boop voice line, and she has an emote where she kind of leans forward and
Does
taps.
she? Oh, see, that's beautiful. The game is constantly willing to talk about not just mechanics and balancing issues, but they also respond to like, hey, when are we going to get more backstory for the character of Reaper? And Jeff will say, oh, we're actually working on something. We've got, and he'll drop hints, and it's really exciting that they're willing to be like to talk openly about lore as well, and to go further into that. Because you think like if you were to ask any other game developer of any other game, like, oh, lore wise, they'll say, wait till the next one. It's not going further. But the way that Overwatch works is it's a constantly evolving beast. And it evolves in a way that like is organic because it reacts to the world around it. So if for fans and players are reacting positively to one thing and they're running with it, Blizzard will run with it as well. Like, oh, we like that. We're going to do something similar.
Blizzard has been Blizzard and Jeff Kaplan. They've been very open with the idea that they want to leave things wide open. We talked a little bit yesterday how there was both.
We talk a lot about Overwatch in our spare time as well.
There was both a graphic novel and like an ongoing comic, like comic book, kind of in the works for Overwatch, and both were like
Kaputzed.
yeah, both were downed, and it was because they didn't want to do too much lore because they were seeing how much fans were kind of coming up with on their own with their theories, and they saw how much fun people were having with it. And that's the other side of this, is there's people, look, it's a video game. Not everybody's going to be great at it. Some people love it because of like the characters in the world. And that's their greatest enjoyment. Making content, making fan art about the game. And Blizzard, like you said, like we've said, Blizzard runs with that. And they want to leave it wide open because they want to see, like, well, what are the fans coming up with? Like, yeah, let's implement that. Oh, I didn't think, like, it really is a game that is, it's such a different, it's become a different kind of beast. I don't think we've seen anything like this before with Overwatch. And but right now, I think we've actually started to step forward into like the future of Overwatch.
Outside of like an MMO, maybe.
I think this is a different feel.
Yeah,
Like I can,
because it's better. Because it's Overwatch.
well, the thing is, it's more accessible to me.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Wow,
Oh, most definitely.
World of Warcraft had millions of people playing it. But World of Warcraft, I'm going to tell you, there were times it felt like a job. I had to be on every day. I was in a guild. I was raiding. I had to be on every day to get the most enjoyment out of that game. I don't have to do that with Overwatch. I want to. But I don't have to. Like, I don't feel like an obligation, and it's just I really don't know how to describe it yet. It's just I really feel like Overwatch is just something different that the world of video games hasn't seen before, which is crazy because what they're doing isn't necessarily like all new stuff. We've had games that are, that are team-based shooters before. We've had games that are very character heavy and just have, good diversity. Like, we've had that. But it's this mashing of all of it with the care that Blizzard has shown it that has drawn millions of people in. People who may not play a lot of games. Our first episode was all about what makes a game good. This is one of those games, and we all said, like, I wouldn't advise everybody to play Persona. I wouldn't advise everybody to play The Witcher. I can't think of a single person that I've been like, you should try, that I would not say you should give Overwatch a try.
Oh, 100%.
And there's only one person we know of that has like fought us on that and like won't play it.
But it's for other
my mind
reasons,
is blank.
though.
Did I erase them from my
Our buddy Borkowski.
Well, we can beat that out.
Speaking of Burkowski, this is a nice whole thing. We ended up running just to get him to play it because he's notoriously stingy when it comes to picking up new games. We ran a successful GoFundMe page called Help Get Burkowski Overwatch. That was funded in like 2 hours. I mean, it's not a lot of money. Stupidest thing in the world to raise money for, but it was funded. And so he has a copy of Overwatch coming his way, whether he likes it or not. And he will like it when he plays it.
Oh yeah.
No one won't.
And also, zero surprises. When he has played Overwatch, he plays Hanzo.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, hey, you said you wanted somebody in our group to play Hanzo.
A good Hanzo. The thing is, like, the Hanzo thing is totally real because the first time I ever saw Overwatch was the first year I was at PAX East because they had a huge like booth, and I thought he was a really cool character because I've never seen a first-person shooter where you're using a bow and arrow. I'm sure it exists, maybe Turok or something. I don't know. And I just thought that was a really interesting concept. But the game wasn't for me because everyone was playing on PC, and I thought it was a PC. I didn't know. Because these types of games are not for me. But because of the different characters and the things, like, when I saw the cast, like the giant poster, the anime, that's now the main menu screen, I was like, wow, there are so many people in this picture that I like and I'm interested in and I want to play as. I want to be the girl sitting on the mech. I want to be the guy on the roller skates. It's so ridiculous to describe this game. Like, I want the unironic cowboy in the future, I think is hilarious. And the fact that there are voice lines making fun of the fact that he's dressed like a cowboy in the future is so funny to me. And then you have the serious characters of like 76, who's basically Clint Eastwood Batman / Captain America. Like, it's so fun.
Even 76 has those moments where he breaks. Like he has like this is another kind of Blizzard kind of going like, oh, we see where you're going with it. Okay, we got you, and they put stuff like that in the game. If you have 76 and Tracer on the same team, 76 will go like, you need to slow down and think about your actions. And Tracer goes like, okay, Dad. And like they're not related at all. But 76, the running joke is that he's the dad of the
the dad of the
team.
group.
He's the old dad, and Mercy's the mom. So they're trying to take care of everybody.
Yeah, so they added sprays. Like sprays are basically in game. You can like graffiti the wall with just pictures that you've unlocked, and you could choose a couple of them. And they've added ones like 76 as like a grumpy dad sitting in a rocking chair, and it's just like they're so willing to adapt and change. Like
The game is very self-aware of itself.
yeah, I think the first one that they did that it kind of blew everyone's mind is like Diva is a gamer.
Gremlin
and so
Diva.
everyone was like, oh, she's probably like one of those gamers who's like a troll online and drinks soda and
Doritos.
and eats Doritos. So they added like the emote in which she's drinking soda and eating Doritos.
She's sitting there, she's playing like a video game. She's like, her mech sits down, she's playing a video game, and then in between like rounds, she like takes a swig of Mountain Dew and then like throws some Doritos back and then goes back to playing. And it's just,
DeVitos, I think is what they're called.
are they?
Not at all Danny DeVito styled potato chips, but I'd eat those as well. Yeah, Zach, thoughts? Actually, question. Zach, who's your main?
Who's my main? I would say Symmetra's my main.
Now, when I ask your main, what do I mean by that? Because a lot of people, there's a big discussion whether people should have mains, but I think everybody kind of does.
Yeah, everyone has the one that if they have the chance to play that character, they would rather play that character.
Yeah.
And for me, that's Symmetra. Symmetra is a support character, but no one calls her a support character. She can be very offensive and defensive. She can place turrets on walls that like deal damage to passing enemies, and you set up a teleporter to help your team or
Really
shield.
interesting design.
Very different than a lot of other characters in the game. It's like a mix between, because Torbjorn is another offensive character that has a turret, and you can put it down and help defend, but these little turrets that Symmetra can put, you can like hang them from a ceiling, you put them on a lamppost, you can like attach to literally anything in the game, including the payload, which is one of my favorite things to do, because the other team will try to get to it, and it's like, oh, on the front of it's all turrets, and they just die instantly. So
And I like her design is really interesting. She's an Indian woman who works for like a high-tech
she's,
corporation
yeah, high-tech gadget
that uses
company.
like hard light. So it's like kind of like a Green Lantern ring, but coming out of like a plasma gun.
Yeah, and it doesn't go that far. I wish it went a little bit further. Just a
No,
little
it's good. It
No,
goes far enough. It's fine. We're good.
Just
Yeah,
a little bit.
Let's
Just a
not
little
buff
bit.
Symmetra so
No.
she can kill you from
Oh,
further
come on.
away.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. Very interesting. And
This
I
guy.
believe Symmetra is on the autism spectrum.
Yes.
They revealed that she's an
Is she?
autistic
I did not know
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another one of those like, I don't
They're
remember.
just like low key reveals.
Yeah,
They're not
those are
even kind
just
of
like
reveals.
those are like the character we designed her with the idea that she's on the autism spectrum.
She's very much like her voice lines, her dialogue, her taunts is very much about order, and it's in her name, Symmetra. She's very, she'll create like cubes of light, and it's very like all about asymmetry and symmetrical things. It's very interesting to go that route.
Like her and Lucio don't get along.
Yeah, because their stories, the gun that he uses is stolen from the company that Symmetra works
These things I like don't know. I
Yeah,
I really
isn't
need
that
to go in and read all
Lucio-
those
Interesting.
comic books.
Lucio and Symmetra, if they're on the same team at the beginning, like Symmetra, I forget what she says, but Lucio goes like, I'm not a big fan of this either.
Oh, yeah.
Like I could do without
And
this.
she's like, you better return that property to us. It's for Vishna Corporation, Vishnar.
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know
I think
the
it's
name of
Vishnar.
Vishnar,
But
the corporation that she
like-
works for.
And Symmetra, very control, order, symmetry. Lucio is like, oh no, freedom. Like
Yeah.
so they're
I literally run on walls.
yeah, they're complete.
I'm
like,
on roller
They're
skates,
complete
lady.
polar opposites. So it's great.
Who's also a DJ.
And used to play hockey.
What an interesting character.
Yep.
All good. Ken, let me ask you, my friend. Who's your main?
So
Again, every time you ask Ken a question, here's
So-
some qualifiers.
because of the situation that we usually end up with playing, Lucio has become my main. Lucio is my most played character.
What situation?
The situation where we need a healer.
Colin's Mercy sometime.
Sometimes,
Yeah, I go
but
Mercy.
but nobody wants to play Mercy every game. Well, some people do.
Not every game I like.
But- But when I need to heal, I prefer Lucio because I can ride on walls. Lucio, so Lucio is a character who attacks with sound. his gun projects sound that deals damage, and then really his main niche is that he can switch between. He's a musician, so he switches between a healing song and a speed boost song. Obviously, healing does like healing over time to anyone who's like in the vicinity of him, and he can also pump it up every 10 seconds or so to increase either the speed or the healing, depending on the song he's playing at the time. Then on top of that, he can wall ride. If you jump at a wall and then hold the jump button, he will ride on walls. If you get really creative with this, you can leap up to points that you wouldn't think Lucio could get to, which is what I like to do. I like to just, I don't know, be obnoxious and try to work my way up to people to like bother that Hanzo that thought that nobody's going to be able to get to him. And here I am, and then I boot them off. That's the other fun thing I like to do is boot people off the map.
Which is like a sound blast that pushes you.
Yep, it's basically like just a bigger sound projection, like much more low range.
Think of Back to the Future, the guitar at the beginning.
Yes. But I'd say like my other two like favorite characters to play are Diva and Farah. Farah is like my original love. Any chance I get, I will play Farah.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my favorite characters. And then Diva's Bae. I love Diva. Everything about Diva. The fact that she's in a mech. The fact that she talks a lot of trash. She's just great.
I will say I do get the most excited when you are Diva. I'm always like, okay, sweet. We got a good Diva.
Like the one thing all three.
Because I also think you're having a lot of fun when you play as Diva.
Usually, yeah. That's the thing is I have those three characters are who I have like the most fun with, and I think a lot of that too is they're also all of them are mobile. Like Diva has her her jetpack, her like jets, like so she can also get up to areas that other characters can't. I like to, she has a defense matrix, so I can protect people when they need it. Her ultimate is a ton of fun to use. Just because sometimes you gotta just shoot your shot, try to get that pentakill.
All really interestingly designed characters as well.
I think it's very interesting. You play a lot of different characters.
I do.
So who is your main?
It's a
I don't even think I can answer
that question. I do like to dabble. I'm one of these guys. I have a real hard time. Like, I equate it to like I have a hard time picking the background on my laptop. So I'm constantly changing what I like and what I'm obsessed with. Because when I like something, I kind of obsess over that. And so I do that with character as well. My main, probably in terms of who I play the most, is McCree. I like McCree. I like playing as McCree. And when I do well with McCree, I feel the most badass. My best, probably Reaper. The way that he plays kind of my style, very kind of get behind people and smoke them out. But I think my first real main, and if I had to be honest, has been Genji. I love Genji. I don't play as him often when we do like our serious matches because there's other roles to play. Someone's got to be Mercy. We have enough offensive characters on our squad, and I can never really play as him on defensive just because I feel like there's other roles for him. But Genji, the cyborg ninja who was cut down by his brother and brought back from the brink of death, is my boy. I like him a lot. I like everybody though.
Do you have the Sentai skin yet?
No, not yet.
That's a good
And
one.
I just bought the friggin' Blackwatch
I
skin.
know. And then they hit you with the Sentai skin.
Son of a bee.
Yeah, I have a skin. It's
I
pretty
kind of
cool.
want to unironically play like the regular bland Genji skin. Just to be like,
Different.
Now I'm different.
I'm an OG Genji.
Because you're all wearing weird costumes.
I'm an OG. I've been saying I need healing since last year.
I still need healing.
I still need healing.
Low HP since day one. Yeah, the game the game itself, it offers so many characters that all play differently. And the thing is that's so great about the game is no one does a lot of stuff. You only have to memorize 3 attacks, So it's easy to like really get into a person, and it's not hard to like really learn and practice with a character. So it really encourages that changing, that adapting, that on the move, on the go, switch it up.
All right, I think we covered a lot of Overwatch stuff today. What do you guys think?
Definitely.
I could go for another hour.
Another hour?
I think we should
All right.
extend.
Well, where do you think the game should go from
My
here?
favorite map is
All right, no,
Eichenwald.
we'll save it. We'll save it.
All right, that sounds good.
So thanks for checking out episode 2 of Local Co-op. You can follow us at LCO Podcast on Instagram, Twitter. We're on Facebook, and the website lcopodcast.com.
Oh, if you want to meet us on the payload, you can catch all of our individual PSN gamer tags. If you want to play with Colin, my gamer tag is Quincy Archer, and I don't play Hanzo. If you see Archer, my name, don't get scared. You can still add me. I promise I won't play as him.
I am Sombre Blanco. That is SOMBRE BLANCO.
The legendary White Shadow.
And you can find me at Sharbetronic, because that's what Greg Miller called me once. But Sharbetronic, CHARBTRONIC.
Want to give that another shot? All right, folks, so that's sweet. Thanks again. Drop in some more quarters for the next episode when we come back and talk about all kinds of your favorite cooperative gameplay and about video games in general. I was Colin.
I am Ken.
And Zach.
All right, have a good week. Catch you next time.